Hi everyone. Today we are going to discuss the physical design of the system in system analysis and design. Now in our previous video we have discussed the logical design of the system where we are conceptualizing the system. We have also discussed various elements required for the logical design of the system, and after discussing the logical design we will proceed to the physical design. So the physical design is the actual design which exists, unlike the logical design which is conceptual. When we are planning the physical design of the system in system analysis and design, there are certain steps that need to be followed during the physical design. These steps are: the first step is to design physical files and databases. When I say designing physical files and databases, this means you are describing how data will be stored. You know, data is stored in various files and these files are stored in the databases. So basically when I am designing the physical files and databases, I am describing how the data will be stored, and then after storing, how the data will be accessed in the secondary memory of the computer, and how the quality of the data will be ensured, because ensuring the quality of data is also an important aspect when we are planning the physical design. The second step in physical design is designing system and program structure. So basically when I say designing system and program structure, it describes the various programs and program modules that correspond to data flow diagrams. Whatever programs are required for a specific application, system application, then within the program whatever modules are required for that specific system application, these are described by the DFDs or the data flow diagrams, which basically show you the flow of data from which particular element to which particular element the data is flowing. This is shown by the data flow diagram. So when I am designing system and program structure, it is through the help of data flow diagrams that I am telling about the various programs and program modules which are required in designing a particular system. And other documentation also. Documentation is a very important part which is required in every stage. So when I am doing the DFDs or the data flow diagrams to depict the flow of data from one particular element to another element, I am also describing the documentation required for all that, which is developed in earlier phases of the system development life cycle. So this DFDs and documentation is done very early on in the earlier phases of the system development life cycle. The third step in designing the physical design is designing distribution processing strategies. So the distribution processing strategies, when we design the distribution processing strategies, basically we are describing how the system will make data and processing available to users. Whatever data is there, and after processing whatever results we get, how that data and the processing will be available to the users on computer networks. So this is described through distribution processing strategies, that what all strategies will be used for distribution processing. All this that we have just studied can be explained briefly through this diagram. So basically what all things are required in a physical system design is basically your designing files and databases, how the data will be stored in files and databases. Then designing system and program structure, what will be the system structure that will be depicted by various programs and modules within that program. So designing system and program structure, and then selecting distributed processing environment, like how the data will be distributed or will be accessible across various networks to the users, the data and the processing, how this will be distributed across various computer networks for the users. So this is described by select distributed processing environment. So these are three major activities while physical design. And there is a project repository. There is a repository which contains every detail of the project. So like whatever files and databases are designed, all that information is stored in the project repository. Then from the project repository, there are certain other information which are stored by other elements, which is provided while designing files and databases. Then what are the various data flow diagrams, what are the prototypes, all this information is taken from the project repository for designing the system and program structure. And after the system is designed and the program structure is designed, the action diagrams, the structure charts and pseudocodes are developed accordingly, and this information is then stored in the project repository. Then when we select a specific distributed processing environment, that information is stored in the project repository, and whatever data usage is there and network architecture is there, like how the data will be used, how the network architecture will be, so that the data can be shared and accessed across various computers on the network for users. This information will be taken from the project repository. And whatever data is stored in files and databases, after designing that files and databases, we will be doing normalization on that stored files which are there in the database. So you will have normalized relations, there will be data flow diagrams and interview notes that will be all useful in designing the files and databases. So basically these are various steps in the physical design of the system.